Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for any upcoming videos. Now let's get started. Hey cousins, do you know that thanks to racism, the U.S. lost its opportunity to have a real-life Black Captain America? This man was like a character in a Marvel movie. No, seriously, he was. But do you know who did benefit from his heroism? France. Yeah, that's right, France. I am speaking of no one other than Eugene Bullard. Have you heard of him before? If you love a good story, then this is one of them. Eugene Bullard was born October 9, 1895, in Columbus, Georgia, to William and Josephine Bullard. His father was a former slave who oftentimes told Eugene stories about France being the land of freedom and equality for Black people. Growing up in the deeply racist South, Bullard experienced racism, violence firsthand. At just 11 years old, he witnessed a tempting lynching of his father after an argument with a white employer. His father survived, but this incident deeply impacted Eugene, reinforcing his determination to find a place where he could be treated as an equal. This solidified his desire to leave the U.S. At 16 years old, Eugene ran away from home, determined to reach France. He traveled through the South, working odd jobs, and eventually made his way to Norfolk, Virginia, where he stowed away on a German cargo ship bound for Scotland. From there, he made his way to England and became a boxer. He performed in traveling shows and worked as an entertainer. As a kid, he was already impressive, but his life only gets more exciting from here. When World War I broke out in 1914, Eugene was so grateful to France for its racial tolerance, he enlisted in the French Foreign Legion. He fought bravely on the Western Front and enduring brutal battles. He was later transferred to the 170th Infantry, earning the nickname the Black Swallow of Death for his courage. Ooh, what a name. The Black Swallow of Death, because he was so courageous. Eugene was seriously injured during the battle in 1916. While recovering, he learned that the French were recruiting for pilots. He applied despite being Black, which was unheard of in aviation at the time. Eugene joined the Aéronautique Militaire. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it, but it's on the screen. And completed flight training, making history as the first African-American military pilot. He flew Escadrille 93 and later Escadrille 85, completing around 20 combat missions. He painted his aircraft with a black heart and a banner reading, "All blood that flows is red," emphasizing his belief in racial equality. Despite his skills, he still faced racism in France. Now, I never said France was racism free. However, they didn't allow Eugene's color to stop him from fighting or even moving up the ranks. When the U.S. entered the war in 1917, America's officials pressured France to remove Eugene from aviation, claiming he was not fit for a pilot's role simply because of his race. He was grounded and reassigned to non-combat roles, but he continued to serve until the war ended in 1918. Can you believe it? I mean, seriously, wow. While learning more about Eugene, I was very disappointed that France allowed the United States to bully them and make them sideline their war hero. And keep in mind, it wasn't because of anything he did wrong. It was simply because of the color of his skin. After the war, Eugene decided to stay in Paris, where he became a jazz musician, a nightclub owner, and a businessman. His club, Le Grand Duc, became a popular spot for famous figures like Josephine Baker, Louis Armstrong, Ernest Hemingway, and F. Scott Fitzgerald. His club really sounded like the hottest place to be at the time. He married a wealthy French woman named Madame Marcel Struman. Eugene and his wife separated eventually. They had 2 daughters, Jacqueline and Lolita. Eugene raised his 2 daughters alone. Oh, but his story doesn't end here. I told you he was the real-life Black Captain America. When World War II erupted in 1939, Eugene joined the French resistance, spying on Nazi officers who frequent his club. He transmitted intelligence to France and later took up arms to defend France during the German invasion. Telling you guys, he's a real-life superhero. France knew he was the best. And when you're in a war, they had no choice but to call the best. France didn't care about his color. France cared about winning. And I have a lot of respect for France for calling him when they needed him, because they knew he was the best, regardless of his color. Wounded again in 1940, Eugene fled France as the Nazis occupied Paris. He managed to escape to the United States, settling in New York City. Eugene devoted his life to his daughters, but their lives were disrupted when World War II broke out. The details of their lives remain unclear. There is conflicting information on what happened to his daughters during and after the war. Some sources say they were separated after World War II and remained in France. And then I found some sources that say that they moved to New York. And then I found some sources that said that they passed away in New York City in the United States. So, like I said, the information was unclear on that. But I did want to mention that he did have daughters, and he really was devoted to his children. Despite his heroism, Eugene received little recognition in the United States. He worked as an elevator operator at Rockefeller Center and lived a relatively obscurity. In 1949, he was severely beaten by the police of the famous Peekskill riots, which was a racial attack at Paul Robeson's concert in New York. Even after everything he'd done for France and the U.S., mind you, he still faced racial discrimination. And when I saw the pictures as I was doing my research for this video, I knew that it had to be the U.S. Because even though he faced racism, it wasn't hands-on type of violence. It was more of undercurrent racism, you know. In contrast, France never forgot him. He was honored with the Legion of Honor, France's highest award, in 1959. Other French honors included, I'm going to put it on the screen because it's French. So here is where I get a little upset. Eugene spent his later years, like I said, in New York City. He lived in poverty and worked as an elevator operator, as I mentioned, for Rockefeller Center. He received little recognition for his military heroism. This man is a real-life hero. In his final years of his life, he lived in poverty. Make it make sense. Our war heroes and our servicemen should have been treated better. Everyone isn't willing to go out and risk their lives for people they never met or never will meet. Only heroes sacrifice like that. Sorry. I digress. It just never made sense to me how we have war heroes that are homeless. Sorry. Okay, I digress for real this time. There is limited historical information, like I said, on his daughters after the war. Eugene Bullard died October 12, 1961, at the age of 66. He was buried with full military honors in the French War Veterans section of the Flushing Cemetery in Queens, New York. In 1994, over 30 years after his death, the U.S. Air Force posthumously commissioned him as a second lieutenant, finally acknowledging his contributions. 30 years. Seriously? Can you imagine how many heroes we have that still haven't received proper acknowledgement? 30 years. That's a long time. So tell me, did you know about the black swallow of death? Or AKA Eugene Bullard? Didn't his life read like a great novel? I have absolutely no idea why no one has done a major movie about this man's life. I feel like it would be an awesome action movie. I'd be the first person to buy my tickets. Thank you, Mr. Eugene Bullard. Thank you for your service. Thank you for standing when others would have ran. Thank you for your contribution to our country and your contribution to the world. You are truly someone that little boys can aspire to be. I'm sorry that in America your life wasn't honored like the true hero you were. I am happy that America finally figured it out and finally gave you the recognition that you deserve. I am honored to cover you in my video, and thank you again for your service. Now let me know who you want me to do next. Please like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you know when we upload our next video. Okay, until next time, cousins. Bye.